So YouTube, it's me. Um, if a video posts, that means I'm working. I wanted to wish all you a happy new year. I hope y'all having fun doing whatever it is you do. But New Year's for me just means next week I got to go back to work. So there is some work that I had to get done that unfortunately I was not able to get to. If many of you have followed some of my videos, one of the first videos I did was on a Danmar Max-Jax low ceiling lift 2-post that I installed. The lift has been great. As I told you before, if you watched the previous video, I check every day. It's still selling between 48 and 5600 plus freight shipping. Just so happened somebody 20 minutes away from me was moving. They couldn't take it with them, and I got it for like 2,200 bucks. So I say that to say this: there's always an opportunity out there, either on Facebook Marketplace or even sometimes people sell stuff on YouTube or OfferUp or Craigslist. I just don't believe in being taken advantage of, and sometimes I feel like with some of the prices out here, it's always better to wait and get a good deal than to, I don't know if you're like me, pay for something and then 2 days later it's $1,000 cheaper. That aggravates me. I take it to the extreme, but the other day I needed um, something for my car to work on it, and just a clip. I drove like 3 different places to save $1.59. Now again, I wasn't burning gas. I had an electric vehicle, so the mindset's a little different. But it just gives you an idea of how I think. You can always get something for a better price, and that's where it brings us today. I'm actually reposting some of the anchors for my Max-Jax. What I found is the original dimensions. So I scoured YouTube looking for some videos on direction as to the width of the Max-Jax. And thankfully it's portable. But what I was struggling with is some of the wider cars like my C5 or my Tesla. I just couldn't extend the arms enough. There just was not enough space. Even then, I don't know how people get out of these Corvette C5s. I love driving them, but they are so low and they're a pain to get out of. And every time I tried to open the door, the post would be in the way. So I'm actually re-drilling 3 holes so that I can push it back. Now, the good thing about the Max-Jax is the holes that are in the front, I don't have to re-drill because they're already on the unit. I only had to re-drill 3 in the back. I'm actually going to do a video because I initially did not do this on the process to install these Wej-It Pd-58 anchors. You want to be careful when you install these, because the professionals who install lifts always recommend installing anchors, and then they always recommend using epoxy. So forgive me if this isn't how it's supposed to be done. I've done a lot of watching. I did it myself. I lifted my Benz, lifted my Volvo, lifted my Corvette without issue. Again, the only reason I'm re-drilling is to gain that 5 inches so that I can extend the arms long enough so it's not so tight when I'm trying to lift one of these vehicles. So the first part of that, obviously, is you want to invest in a rotary hammer. This is, of course, a Milwaukee. And I actually purchased this from an electrician not too far from here. It came with 3 batteries. Obviously, you see it's an older one. But if you look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 holes that it drilled without issue. So it was well taken care of, and I paid $40 for it, which is a good investment, which I'm glad I did, because when I needed to reuse it, I had it. A lot of the YouTube videos show people that are renting them. The problem is, what I noticed, a lot of them rushed. Like even in the video, they would say, I gotta hurry up and take this rotary hammer back to Home Depot because they're trying to drill 10 holes with it. And then some of them, because they were rushing, they didn't drill them right. I didn't want that issue. So again, you can go on Facebook, you can go on Craigslist, you can go on OfferUp, you can always find a deal. And I found a gentleman, again, it came with 3 batteries, the case, and the rotary hammer, and I paid $40 for it. I would always recommend going that route. The next thing I had to do is, obviously, you gotta have bits. Now again, you can go to Home Depot, but a lot of times what I was finding on Google and Home Depot, the bits were $15 to $25 more. So what I decided to do was go on eBay, and I found the bits. I think the 7/8 was like $20 cheaper. The 3/8 came with the drill, and then the 5/8 actually was like $10 to $12 cheaper. So that's the route that I opted to go. I would definitely, recommend anytime you buy anything. I teach my kids this. That's what Google's for. If you have a part number, it'll take you 2 minutes to type that part number in. Even if 2 places have it for $22, but one place is offering free shipping as opposed to $10 shipping, you're saving. So at the end of the day, type that number in Google and save some money. You can still have quality. Just because you're spending less doesn't mean you have to sacrifice quality, is what I'm getting at. So the hammer drill obviously was the first step. Now, depending on the one you got, if you're getting a Max-Jax, you got to go with the Wej-It Pd-58. You can actually go on Amazon. They actually had these on sale right now for $39.99. You get 5 as well as the sacrificial bolt, and I'll show you. So these are what the anchors look like, okay? And you get 5 of them, and then you get the sacrificial bolt. The sacrificial bolt is just what it is. This is what you're going to beat to death to get those into the hole, and then you're going to torque them depending on the torque specs that they call out for. Initially, I ordered these from Max-Jax directly twice. They were $200. They didn't come with the sacrificial bolt. Again, I did a lot of research. They were metric, but it was hard to find the metric that I needed in that size. So what I decided to do was go with Wej-It. These are standard, and these you can get at any hardware store like Lowe's or Home Depot without issue. So I decided to go that route because, in the event that I lose something, I want to be able to replace it easily. I was searching McMaster-Carr. I was searching Granger. I could not find the Wej-It ones. Plus, again, these are $40 as opposed to the $200 that they're charging for the kit on with Max-Jax. So I definitely recommend doing that. Now, what you have to realize is your holes, and they give you a nice paper here. Your hole depth for the Pd-58, the minimal hole depth has to be 5 inches. So I did verify that it is 5 inches. And the other, the spacer has to be 5/8. Now, what are you saying, a spacer? I'm getting ready to show you that. Let me see if I can find it. So, essentially, this is how your setup is going to look right here, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to hammer it in, okay? And then once you hammer it in, you actually have to torque this down to 90 psi, okay? So the space between the spacer and the anchor has to be 5/8, because once you beat this down, the spacer is going to sit flush with the concrete. And then once you do that, you got to actually turn this bolt, okay, until you get to 90 psi is what they recommend for this one, to make sure that this spreads enough to hold. As you can see, one of my previous ones did not. It holds, but it came up. That's actually a reoccurring issue with some of these Wej-Its. If you actually search Google, a lot of them have complained about some of them not spreading. My other ones were okay, so I'm just going to take that as an error. The issue is to get that out is too much work, and I'm not doing it. Plus, it holds the 90 pounds of pressure that it's supposed to, so I'm cool. But at the end of the day, you want to prevent that. So basically, you're going to hammer this in. You're going to, till the spacer is flat, and you're going to turn it till it hits 90 psi. So you're going to actually use 90 foot-pounds. I apologize. So you're actually going to need a torque wrench for this too. So keep that there. Now, the other thing that I definitely recommend, and all the professionals recommend, use some epoxy, man. This stuff is 3 to 5 times stronger than regular concrete. When I say this stuff work, it works. And all the professionals are saying they would never install a lift without using this. Now, this was $30, but if you went ahead and spent $5,000 on a lift, what's $30 for your security? Definitely. The only thing I would say to this is, the first time I try using this, listen, before you blink your eyes, it sets. I actually found this today, extended working time, which says 20 minutes. I don't believe that. The first one I had said 10 minutes. It's set in 2. So this may set in 5. But at the end of the day, this stuff sets. So what I tried doing the first time was knocking out a bunch of them. What I'm actually going to have to do this time is do this individually. But anytime you want to set these anchors, I definitely recommend that you use the epoxy. So once you drill the holes out, you want to make sure put a flashlight in there. I did some compressed air, and then I used a vacuum. You want to make sure that hole's clean so that anchor can hit. And you want to make sure when you drill straight. You don't want to wobble. Sometimes we have a tendency to wobble when it hits. You don't want to wobble because you need that anchor to fit in the space that the drill recommended. And the original drill recommendation for this was 7/8. So you want to make sure you keep it as close to 7/8 as possible. The concrete epoxy, I'm actually going to put inside, and I'm going to put on the bolt itself. And if you see here, I'm actually going to put it around some of the edges too to kind of help it also. So you definitely want to make sure that you pick up this concrete epoxy, and you want to make sure you realize that you don't have a lot of time with this. So I already set everything up the way it needs to be set up. So I'm actually going to start. I don't think there's anything else that I really need to show you. The bolt is 24-inch. So I should have my 24-inch wrench, which you're going to need. And then it tells you, at least for this part, not to use an impact. So I'm not going to be using an impact for this. So for this one, I'm going to be using a torque wrench directly. If you've ever used a torque wrench, you want to make sure this is going to be set to 90 foot-pounds, but you never store this in a position where the spring is actually loaded. So I'm going to go to 90 foot-pounds, and I'm going to lock it because, again, this part of the process is pivotal, and unfortunately I don't have time. It's not going to be locked for too long, and hopefully somebody here can learn a little bit. Now, you may be laughing because this ain't Milwaukee. This isn't Milwaukee. Lexavon, listen, this is a good brand. Amazon sells this. You get these for a real good deal. I use this for everything, so I definitely recommend from a torque wrench perspective. Some things, unfortunately, you don't have to pay top dollar for. A lot of stuff I do have Milwaukee, I was not paying for no Milwaukee torque wrench. So I think we're good. I gotta get my gun. And the reason why I'm doing this today is because normally it needs a couple days to set. And even if it doesn't, I still give it a couple days to set. And then a lot of times before I even pull anything out, I give it a week. So that's the other nice thing about this is you don't have to cut it. That two-part epoxy, this one, it's just a cap that you can lift up. So, see, that's simple. So, I'm gonna put this on here. Tighten it up. Get it inside here. And you're just going to repeat the step. I'm going to fill this hole all the way in.
epoxy. You want to get that even around the edges.
You're gonna measure 5/8.
Now, I'm not listening, but it does tell you with the
Concrete epoxy, you want to wear some type of gloves. I would definitely recommend following the directions. You know, so what you're gonna,
all the way as far as the anchor can go. All right, and then
spacer is gonna be 5/8. 5/8 from that. I'll take my tape measure. And I'm gonna measure
5/8. That's a half. 5/8 right there.
and
Give it a little bit more goop at the top. Bang that sucker in. It's gonna feel like you don't want to go in, but it's gonna go. What I should do, halfway in, put a little goop around there. Make sure fill in them cracks. So any questions? I'm not gonna hold you, but you know, you've seen one, you've seen all. That's how you install these Max-Jax anchors. So happy New Year, and hope that you enjoy your day.